All right, everybody, we are live with the MMA Mainstream Podcast. I am James, as always, joined by Kaelyn, and we're going to talk about some MMA going on this week. We'll start with Bellator because there's an event last week and we did our picks. There's nothing going on this week because it is Father's Day weekend. Did you happen to catch any of those fights?
Not Bellator.
Bellator, I only caught the first few fights that happened. And the rest, I did not. I'll just be honest.
Or if you did, you don't remember.
I'm because of my work schedule. I'm like an old person. So by a certain time, I'm like, oh man, it's getting late. And it's not that it's getting late. It's just that I'm sitting there and then I fall asleep.
You're like, I'm bored with this now.
Not even. I just fall asleep. I'm like an elderly person. And then I'll be up super early.
Early bird?
And I usually watch the replays. I didn't. I'll be honest. I had other things going on. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. We had DeMarcus Jackson versus Mark Lemminger. Mm-hmm. And Lemminger got the TKO win over Jackson. We both actually no, you picked Jackson. I picked Lemminger.
Yeah, I remember that.
Scored the win on that one. Oh, we also got a comment right now. It says, what's going on, guys? Doing all right, Lonnie. How's it going with you, man? We can't complain. We're just going to talk about some MMA, some stuff we really love. Later on, we'll also be discussing some Muay Thai, but right now, let's keep it going with the Bellators. And then we had the Bellators. I say that. I say interwebs. I am like an elderly person. I love it.
Elderly. Oh boy.
Aaron Pico versus Aiden Lee.
Yeah.
We both picked Aaron Pico, and that dude's I did see this fight. His performance was awesome. He really used his wrestling to his advantage. He went to his bread and butter, and then he got the submission with the anaconda choke. He looked phenomenal.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Aiden Lee didn't really have anything for him in that way.
No answers.
Just couldn't do anything. And Pico just took it to him and got the win.
Well, it is Aaron Pico, so.
Very true. Very true. Now, this fight I was disappointed in because, of course, we both picked Paul Daly against Jason Jackson. You know, Jackson is a guy who's got some very noteworthy wins. It's just not a lot of people have heard of him.
Yeah. I heard of him not that long ago. So
yeah, same here. I mean, I saw that he had quite a few fights. You know, his next fight will be his 20th bout. But I was really surprised to see who he had beaten. And then for him to beat Paul Daly, although it was by decision, I mean, he did enough to get the win.
I'm a little surprised. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I always go for Paul Daly. He always seems to surprise me, but not really, because I always assume he's gonna win, and then a couple times it looked like he wasn't gonna win, and then all of a sudden he just I don't know how he does it. He just comes out and gets the KO or the win. I just assumed he would win.
I did too, because of course, like we have seen Paul Daly fight for years,
forever,
and he has been up and down, but recently he had been up, so I was hoping for that streak would continue, but it's not so against Jason Jackson, as he gets the decision win. And then moving on to the welterweight world title fight, I picked Douglas Lima, you picked Amosov.
Yeah.
And you got it. But here's the thing. So we had 5 fights. One fight fell off. The female fight that we had fell off.
Oh.
So when you break it down, we actually tied 2-2.
Of course we did.
Yep. So in our picks for this Bellator event, it was 2-2 for us. And since there is no Bellator this weekend, we are going to move on to the UFC. Last week we had UFC 263 with Adesanya versus Vitor. And we'll start from the bottom of the main card. Paul Craig got the TKO against Jamal Hill. Craig literally looks scary, and I did pick him because of his nickname, which I'm glad I did because he went in there and laid hands.
He did.
Total strikes 43 of 47. I mean, damn.
Yeah. Little one-sided there, but yeah, no, he came out like a killer. This guy deserves someone up there in the rankings, I think, to test him. He's been doing pretty good. So he's number 14. He needs to fight someone maybe top 10, I think, for sure.
If not top 10, like 11.
Oh man, top 10. Give him top 10.
Oh, you say top 10?
Yeah, right. Just do it.
just throw him in there. Just good luck, man. Have at it.
He can though. He's tough. Jamal Hill, I don't really didn't know too much about him before this fight, but I don't know. So he was number 15. I don't know what's going to happen to that. But Paul Craig, he needs to fight
fighting like that. We won't know anything about him because he'll be out of the UFC.
I know, but it's Paul Craig, to be honest. I mean, come on.
That's true. It was the Bear Jew.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
I thought of you when I was I actually went over to Press Box and watched the fights there. It was funny. All of a sudden I hear Bear Jew. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which is also funny because the guy, my buddy that I referred to last week that I call Bear Jew, I also call him Thug Nasty. It was a random nickname.
You're just gonna use all the MMA nicknames.
Which no, this happened way before Thug Nasty became a popular UFC nickname. Yeah, I was like, dude, like I should have copywritten it for my buddy or something, trademarked it.
Oh, what's the guy's name that has the nickname? Country guy. What's his name?
I just know it's Thug Nasty, and I've seen his gear that says Thug Nasty. I was like, I need to buy
he's the one that requested those camo shorts. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh, Bryce Mitchell. That's who it is. Sorry, I couldn't remember the name. It's Bryce Mitchell. Yeah.
Go ahead and continue up the card. Damian Maia versus Bilal Mohammed.
Yeah.
It went decision. It went the way for Mohammed.
Yeah.
You know what? Even though he had a no contest against Edwards in his previous fight, he got, he was taking on a major opponent in Maia and got the decision win.
Well, all it was his test on defense. His takedown defense is what that fight was. That's what all the fights are with Damian Maia. A lot of people get upset about it, say it's boring, whatever. And yeah, I guess. But I mean, if that one move's not working, he'd always shoot in for the single leg. And it's like, you could do something else, though, Like, try a different one. I don't know. Man, when Damian Maia fights, he goes for the takedown and he does not stop until he gets it. And he didn't get it. So Bilal Mohammed won that fight. Little boring fight, but I mean, I don't know. It's Damian Maia. You have to love him, but I've seen too many fights where I'm like, I want to see something else from him, but I'm not going to get it. So what sucks is that you would think that this fight would be really significant to have on the resume of Bilal Mohammed, but the way the fight went, it's like, I guess,
It is like, in name recognition, but the fight itself was lackluster.
It reminded me of him and Tyron Woodley. I don't know if you remember that fight, Damian Maia versus Tyron Woodley. Same thing. Tyron Woodley had pretty good takedown defense, avoided all of them. I was actually there live for that one. That was that fight card was Cormier versus Jones 2 in Anaheim, and they were on that card. I just remember the crowd was so bored. They started lighting up their cell phones, started chanting just to keep it. They were trying to keep themselves entertained because they were so pissed that the entire was it a title fight? I don't remember. I don't think so. Maybe it was only 3 rounds. All the rounds, all of them were just so bored out of their minds. But yeah, that one definitely kind of reminded me of this one.
That unfortunately does
It is
happen.
what it is.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And Maya, unfortunately, he's such a great person on the ground, but he is essentially a one-trick pony. And,
it is, yeah. Yeah.
You know, he's ranked 9th, but he's not really doing anything. He's
yeah,
just
I think they said he has one more fight on his contract. I think that's what I heard.
And that was the talk about Nate Diaz competing against him, correct?
Well, Nate Diaz had come out and said that he would be willing to fight him, and he respects him and all this. It was real nice, but I didn't hear anything official. But it sounded like Nate.
It's just a rumor.
He's like, I'd like it to be your last fight. Yeah, we'll see.
All right, let's go ahead and keep it going as we move up the card for the UFC that happened last weekend. Now we're on to Leon Edwards and Nate Diaz.
Mm-hmm.
Nate Diaz, he went to decision. He looked busted up. So Leon Edwards, he also did get the win.
When does he not look or get busted up?
That's true. It looks like he's been through quite a few wars throughout his career.
I would say so. Yeah. I love Nate Diaz forever and ever. But Nate Diaz, to me now, this last fight, he looked like a zombie to me, but not talking about the blood and the cuts and all that. I'm talking about like he just walks forward. He didn't really throw anything.
Significant.
Intelligent. I mean, he's a really smart fighter. He's really good. He just wasn't. Not what I remembered him to used to be, and I know fighters change over time anyway. But I feel like
his training was lazy.
Yeah, he was walking forward with not an answer, but just taking punishment as usual. But he didn't have it. But after the punishment, he wouldn't have an answer either. There were a few good exchanges, but the majority of the fight, I would say, it was just him walking him down, but not doing anything. And Leon Edwards looked really good. He's super sharp. I kind of assumed he would be, but it's Nate Diaz, so I always go for him anyway. But
here. Completely agree.
Same thing. You remember the Masvidal fight where they did end it because of the cut, but he was kind of doing the same thing also. Didn't really throw any combos that would, break the guard, get in there, land. He just kind of took punishment and kept walking forward. You got to give it to him for keep walking forward, but I wish he would have thrown something more to where he possibly could have overwhelmed Leon Edwards, but he didn't. And I was a little disappointed. I love him, but I was disappointed.
That happens. It does happen. The fight went to decision. It was given to Edwards. Diaz, like I said earlier, was a complete mess and was still ready to fight. Like, if they would have had a sixth round, he would have kept going.
You got to give it to him. He managed to get through the whole fight without the doctor coming in and calling it off. So that's a win. I guess.
That is a win, definitely.
That's a plus.
We have some more comments. Lonnie responded again. He said, about to hit up fight camp for 559 fights next month. Get on it, man.
Nice.
Get in there. Good luck. Have at it.
And hopefully it won't be like 115 degrees, though. Yeah.
I hope it's going to be July. Yeah, if it's next month.
Maybe.
And then Tom Owens. Amigos. ¿Qué pasó? That's the extent of my Spanish.
That's it?
We're doing, besides a menu, like, quesadilla, burrito.
You can't even pronounce the names. Come on.
I know. See, that's why the extent of my knowledge as it pertains to a lot of stuff is very limited and mostly food-based. Tom, we are doing well, my friend. I hope you're doing well as well. And those are some comments that we had earlier. And we're just going to keep going with this UFC card because now we're moving on to Grigorieff versus Moreno for the flyweight title. Man.
Oh, man.
Moreno.
What a shocker. I was surprised. I was surprised. I think I picked Figueiredo. I must have.
You didn't.
I
We
didn't.
both picked
We both picked
Moreno.
Moreno. Ah. Oh, I know why I picked that. Never mind. I normally would pick that, but I found out that he barely made weight, and I was like, no, he probably doesn't feel good. It's not gonna be good for him, and I guess so.
There you go.
Brandon Moreno seemed to have gotten a lot even better than his last fight, which was good also. So he got better. Figueiredo, maybe the weight cut got to him. I don't know, but honestly, it was a good fight, and they had really good exchanges. They're both so fast. Like that whole weight class is just, you can't blink because you're gonna miss a lot. And I know some people probably get bored because there's not a lot of knockouts or finishes with these guys, but they are so fast. Their reflexes are insane.
Oh yeah.
But Moreno looked really good. He's the firstborn Mexican champion for the UFC now, so that's a big deal for them.
Oh yeah. It opens up a whole new market in Mexico. I mean, it did start with Cain Velasquez being Hispanic, but being with Moreno being from Mexico, it just adds.
Yeah. I mean, I was a little surprised to hear that. I'm like, do we seriously not have a Mexican-born champion? I guess we didn't. I didn't realize that.
Right.
Yeah, but that's really good. I wonder what's next for these two guys, though. I don't know. Do you think there'd be a rematch?
I mean,
I think there should be.
Never lost by submission. I will be. I figure the way I look at it is either give him a fight or two, he gets the win, he gets the rematch.
Yeah.
If he wins the first fight, very convincingly, you give him the next fight. You give him the rematch.
So that's how you feel. You don't think automatically they should have a rematch if there was a finish?
No, it wasn't. If it went to the judge's decision, I could see them running it back. Okay, but because there was a clear-cut, defined winner,
yeah. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. I think there should be a rematch, but also you make a good point. I don't know. I do want to see a rematch, but I mean, technically, if you're gonna follow the rules or what's right, I don't know. I know it's an entertainment business, so you got to do what the people want anyway. But I automatically do think there should be a rematch. I would say right away too, but
nope.
Well, I mean, it's like you can close the book on it then sooner than later, I guess. I don't know.
Well, okay. The reason I said it is just because Moreno won by submission. He finished the fight. If the fight would have went to decision, that's still more of an open end. There was a judge's score that would have defined the fight, but this is a clear cut. Moreno got the win. Moreno's the champ. What's next for him? Figueiredo needs to he needs to get back to that. And so
I guess
he has to work for it. He has to get back on that grind.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that too. I didn't know. I mean, I don't know. There's no rules, so whatever. It's whatever the people want.
It's whatever the UFC is gonna decide is what they're gonna decide. But that's the way I see it from the standpoint of somebody who's watched quite a few fights.
Yeah. Either way, that's cool.
And so Moreno is the champ. Congrats to him. And then we had Adesanya versus Vitor.
Yeah.
I guess I expected more out of Vitor.
You did?
I guess so. I think I expected, I mean, he scored takedowns, but what did he really do?
True. Not a lot. Adesanya looked good. He looked like himself. Didn't get a finish, but that's okay. I don't know. I heard some rumors or articles floating around that Marvin Vettori thought he won the fight. I don't know how he justifies that, but I don't know. It was a good fight. I was hoping for something crazy to happen, but nothing really crazy. Not that crazy.
I mean, we would have liked that, but no, nada.
That's okay though. Good fight. What is next for Israel Adesanya?
I
I don't
mean,
know.
he's probably just at home, hanging out.
I mean, what's his next fight?
Oh,
What do
you
you
mean
think? I
next
don't know.
fight? Oh, I don't know. Like, hey, this is their second fight. He's probably going to run the division again.
I think you have to, yeah.
But then where would he go from there? Would he just be like, all right, well, I'm done?
Well,
I mean, we've
unless he
already
wants to
seen what
give it a
happens when he tries to
go
move on to another weight class.
again. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think he should stay in his weight class. I think he does a lot better there. Clearly, because those guys in the next one are a lot bigger. Like they could be, almost the same or a lot bigger, and a lot of them are going to be a lot bigger because Adesanya, I think he comes in underweight. Also, I think he comes in a pound underweight for 185 anyway. I don't think he wants to work on gaining a bunch of weight. So I don't know. I kind of want him to stay in his weight class, but I don't know what would be next for him.
I agree, but they'll find something.
Yeah.
They'll figure out something. The UFC will find a way. They always do.
Yeah.
So that was UFC 263. And as it pertains to fight picks, we tied again.
That's interesting.
We went 4-4. So, yeah, it's because we actually picked all the same fighters on this card. So, there you go. That's how that went down. And this weekend, because it is the UFC Father's Day weekend, they're having another fight. That's what they do. Because dads love fighting, to my knowledge. I'm not a father that I know of. God, I hope not.
Okay.
But it's a guy thing. We like, it's a people thing because even females enjoy fights. That's why you're the co-host and you know what's up.
Okay, there.
We'll go ahead. I'll just take my foot out of my mouth, and we will start discussing the UFC Fight Night that's going to take place this weekend. We have Matt Brown versus, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I'm just going to guess it's Diego Lima.
Lima, yeah.
Yeah, the spelling throws me off. The spelling kills me.
Diego Lima, though. Come on.
I mean, yeah, but still. 24-18 versus 17-8. I mean, it's Matt Brown. That dude's bad.
Yeah. He's been around for a while.
But, yeah, I feel like he is at the tail end of his career.
Yeah, he is.
I'm a fan. The dude is, like, legit scary. Like, I'm pretty sure that if he wasn't doing this, he would have been in prison because he was a serial killer. Just saying.
Might be.
All right.
I think this is a really good matchup. What do you?
I think it's a good matchup. I'm gonna go with Brown, even though he's at the back end, and you do have someone like Lima. That's exactly it. So I'm gonna take Brown in this.
I'm gonna say Lima. I'll go with Lima.
You're gonna go Lima? All right.
Yeah.
Not a problem with that because I mean we can't have these ties. We can't have that happen too often. That's not a good deal. That's not fun for people. That's not fun for me. All right. Now we have Wellington Thurman or Truman. Thurman versus Bruno Silva. Silva will be making his UFC debut with 19-6 as his record. And Wellington is 16-4 and is coming off a loss. Both fighters are from Brazil. Silva loves the knockout, that's for sure. Whereas Wellington, he'll mix it up. All right. This looks like it could be a debut for both because you don't have any fight stats for Wellington.
Yeah.
All right. So based off of what we have for this information right here, who do you take?
I'll go with Silva.
You gonna go with Silva?
Yeah.
All right. Is it just because he has that really nice dark photo?
Yeah, that was great. I love it.
He's tall, dark, and handsome right there.
He has a lot of fights already, though. So I think I'm
That he
gonna.
does. That he does. And you know what? I also will take Silva as well. Wellington, like we gotta see you up your game, man. And we actually have to see what Silva looks like. So we'll find
Yeah.
out this weekend. That'll be
Oh,
interesting.
you mean it's not gonna look like that?
If he did, that would be awesome. Or do you remember the old UFC logo, which was Ultiman?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
That guy, that character, that fake character, you could
Yeah.
actually play in one of the UFC games.
No way.
So,
Oh, I like that.
yeah, no lie, that's awesome. Like that's the guy I would just always pick. I'm like, he should be well rounded. He's like the mascot of the UFC. Come on now.
Was.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I still would rock something with that on it, like something old school like that. I'm all about it.
Is it true they have Dana White in there too as a character?
I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, there's so many UFC games now.
Is
I'm
there?
referring to the OG one, the first game that has Tito Ortiz on the cover.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Now we have Julian Erosa versus Segwoo Choi. 25-9 versus 9-3. That is quite the.
What's the difference there?
Oh yeah, United States versus South Korea. 6-1 versus.
I like the accent.
I mean, it is what it is.
I haven't heard of either of these. Actually, I think I've seen Choi fight before, but I don't remember when, and it's been a while. Is it? Did he come off? Is he coming off of a loss? Is that what it said?
No, both are coming off wins.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Erosa. I think I'm gonna go with him.
You know what? I actually am gonna take him too, based off of the wealth of experience that he has.
That is true.
And not only that, but it also helps that his nickname's Juicy J.
I know.
So, 3-6 Mafia represent.
Yeah.
There we go. Let's continue up this card with Marlon Vera versus Davy Grant. Grant, I do recall, is coming off the win. He had a pretty solid win in his last outing. 13-4 versus Vera 16-7-1. And Vera's coming off a loss.
I have to go with Vera. I always go for him. I like him. I go for him.
Pick him? All right.
Yeah.
I'm going Grant. I'm going to see if Grant can ride that wave of success onto the win. And then Alexei Olenek versus Sergey Spivak. Spivak. I'll just go with that.
I think you're right. Look at the difference there.
First of all, Homeboy has a polar bear, because it is also his nickname, tattooed on his chest.
Oh, I've seen this guy fight before.
I expect him, like, if he doesn't have a bearskin rug at home,
a polar bear one.
Exactly. I would be
he caught it himself.
Right? He's all, this was the bear I used to wrestle as a child.
Family pet.
Unfortunately, I don't think he's that tough. Of course, we have Olenek, who's coming off a loss and who still has one hell of a fight record.
Gosh, that's so many.
12-2.
Who do you pick?
This is a rough one because, I mean, who do you go with? You have Olenek, who's coming off a loss but has such a wealth of experience, but is really known for his jiu-jitsu. When you look at Sergey, he does have TKO wins. He does have submission wins. So he's well-rounded, it seems, in the way of victory.
Yeah.
Man.
I go with Olenek.
It's Russia. Go with Olenek? All right.
Can't go against the motherland.
I'll take the polar bear then. I'll go against the grain. And then we have Dan Ige versus the Korean Zombie.
Mm-hmm.
Man, 16-6 for the Korean Zombie, 15-3 for Ige. Coming off a loss, Ige is coming off a win.
Yeah, he's been doing really good. I love the Korean Zombie. I just don't know how I really feel how this fight's gonna go though.
Number 4 versus number
I'm
8.
always biased, so I'll just stay biased. I want the Korean Zombie to win. I'm gonna pick him.
You're gonna take the Korean Zombie, then you
Yeah.
know what? I'll take Ige for the win.
Okay. He very well could win though.
Ige
is very good. He's really tough. But I want the Korean Zombie to win, so I'm gonna pick him.
Of course, I could see that, but I want Dan Ige to get the win. So yeah, there we go. Those were our picks for UFC Fight Night that's going on this weekend. There have been some other things that are going on, like tomorrow, Anderson Silva will be boxing. We discussed this a little bit. Today were the weigh-ins, and he receives $100,000 because Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. missed weight by, I want to say, by 2 pounds.
2?
By 2.4 pounds.
Oh. Okay.
Yep. And so he forfeits 6 figures. Man.
Yep.
First of all, can I just say, jealous? If somebody missed weight for something, I would love to collect 6 figures if I fought. I'd be like, seriously? You're going to move me into a new tax bracket because of this? Yes. Miss weight more often. Thank you.
Yeah. Please.
And so Anderson Silva will be competing tomorrow. It also says here that Cesar Chavez has a history of not making weight. So, okay, that's nothing new. Damn, homeboy, you're going to lose a lot of money doing that. You should be ashamed of yourself because you got to get that check.
There's no shame.
True. We'll see how Anderson Silva does. We've discussed boxers versus MMA fighters before.
Yeah.
It hasn't gone well for the MMA community, which we all know way too too well. Will it be different with Anderson Silva? I would like it to be. Will it be? Probably not.
I don't know.
We'll see.
I don't expect him to win at all. That's how I feel. I don't expect him to win. I don't even want to watch it either.
I'm not. I unfortunately, like, some of these fights I'm just super disinterested in. I'm not going to watch it, but I will see the highlights if they do put out highlights. And I will find out.
When I heard about this fight, I was like, oh, that's cool, whatever. But I didn't know it was actually happening. And then I didn't know they actually had a date set. And I had no idea that it was this weekend until today. Because I thought they had to weigh in. So
also, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. is going to be competing on this card, which I didn't know until about 2 weeks ago. And I was like, what? That dude, man, that dude was legit bad.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. That's
how old is he now?
Old enough to know he shouldn't be fighting. All right. Then we're going to continue with MMA action as Rory McDonald loses a split decision to Gleison Tebow. I'm really surprised about this, and people have been saying it's a huge upset. And I'd have to agree. I didn't see the fight, but Tebow, he's had okay success in the UFC. McDonald, they put the rocket to his back and sent him to the stars, but unfortunately he had a few bad outings and has gone to different promotions and is now in the PFL. I would have expected Rory McDonald to get the win, but
Rory McDonald has been a badass for a long time now.
Yes.
I mean, if he loses a fight, it's like, well, it's not like it's going to hurt his record or any, his record, but it doesn't hurt his
overall
legacy.
You're right. That's exactly it. It's not going to hurt.
I'm like, so what if he loses a fight? He's won so many. He's such a badass. He's been a badass for a very long time. Even when he left UFC, was still a badass. So, whatever. Doesn't hurt his legacy. He's still a badass. I still remember that crazy fight. It was with him and who was it? It was Robbie Lawler. I don't know if you remember that fight. I've seen it so many times. It it was one of the bloodiest fights I've ever seen in UFC.
Oh yeah.
Lawler's face was falling off, and it was crazy.
I do recall that fight, and yeah, but T-Bow getting the win, like, hey, good for him. But I was like, really? He beat Rory McDonald?
That's good for him.
Yeah, I mean, puts money in his pocket, that's for sure.
Yep.
All right, now we're gonna talk about Oscar De La Hoya.
Yay.
Says he will fight Vitor Belfort.
I'm sure he will.
Holy moly. Okay. This is a fight I would actually be more interested to see because Vitor Belfort had great hands.
Yeah.
He had a lot of power behind his punches. Oscar De La Hoya didn't, but Oscar De La Hoya was one hell of a boxer.
Yeah. Was.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's been quite some time since
I don't know what this is gonna look like. But anyway,
it's gonna look like a train wreck. Let's be real about that.
Probably. I wonder. I think this was only a verbal agreement, though. I don't know if this is like a for sure thing.
Yeah. I think you're right.
I feel like Oscar De La Hoya has been like trying to fight again for a while. I feel like he's just trying to call out whoever he can to get a fight.
Well, he'd been promoting for so long that I imagine there's more money there.
Probably. I don't know.
He's getting back into it.
He has some pretty expensive drug habits, though, so he might need another check.
Wow. Well, it's okay. I say the only reason Floyd Mayweather fights is because he owes the IRS. So I get it. I get it. I understand. But so that'll be interesting to see. I would actually want to take Belfort just because he has so much power behind his punches.
Oh, he better win this one.
But De La Hoya is a boxer. He can slip. He can dodge. He can avoid. So that's what will be interesting to see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
This fight, I'm more interested in seeing than the Anderson Silva fight.
Yeah. You know, Anderson Silva was great, you know, back in his day at UFC. But as his career fizzled out from there, I wasn't interested in watching him fight on the feet at all anymore. It kind of went downhill. But it, you know, it happens with age, happens with everybody. But the whole boxing thing is MMA fighters. I don't know if that's as far as I'm sure the money's great and that's a good choice on them to make some money. As far as fighting goes, I'm not interested. They're not boxers, so it's like they already have a disadvantage. And I mean, good for them for getting paid, but I'm not excited about watching an MMA fighter box a boxer. And I know those boxers are old. Most of them are old legends, but I don't know.
I get that. I think the only reason why I'm interested is because Vitor had such heavy hands. And that's why I'm curious to see. I imagine we know what's going to happen. And both of these fighters, it's an exhibition. It's on the back end of their careers, but I'm still curious. It's still an interesting thought.
We'll see.
What if? For this, it is. For Silva versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., I don't care.
I don't care.
Which is funny because I love freak show fights, like celebrity boxing.
I don't think it's.
Did we discuss celebrity boxing? Lamar Odom versus Aaron Carter.
I guess that happened.
It did. And Aaron Carter was like, "Oh, I do Muay Thai." It didn't look like it because he got beat up. It was great.
He really said that? Oh, shit.
Yeah. And Aaron Carter,
but it was a boxing match.
Tattoo on his face.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And nothing. He didn't have nothing. Lamar Odom was like, "That's it. You're done." And just
eat the juice out of him.
Oh. Made my day.
It did it.
That's a fight. And what was weird though was Chuck Liddell being the ref.
That's great.
Honestly, they should have just put out Mills Lane. He's super old. I don't even know if he's still alive. But they could have just put Mills Lane and and that would have been better than Chuck Liddell.
Yeah, man, what is this world? What is this world we have right now of these boxing matches, freak show matches, and they're all so old.
But okay, for this though, I think it was just because I knew I don't care for Aaron Carter. I think he's a little jerk. And just
I
to
don't
be
know
like,
much about him. I know who he is for sure.
I
I
feel
just
like
don't know.
he's your generation.
Yeah.
If you're into that type of music, but that guy, and then like the stuff he was talking, I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to see you get beat up. Oh,
yeah,
it's gonna make my day. And it did.
I don't know much about him. I know who he is, of course. But I was he like into drugs or something, or went to jail?
Oh yeah, he looks super messed up.
Oh, okay, maybe that's what it was. I don't know. I
It
just
could have
remember
been
seeing
meth. It could have
headlines.
been other drugs, but he looks super tore up from the floor up. Like it's one thing. It's one thing that Mike Tyson has a tattoo on his face. It's Mike Tyson. This is Aaron Carter.
Yeah.
Really, dude? Really?
At this point, you're just kind of like one of those doodle pads. Yeah.
It's like, no, man. No. It's like, come on. You haven't done music in how long? They're not going to hire
But
you
even,
at Starbucks with a tattoo on your face.
Even his music, I didn't listen to it. Was there very much of it though? Was he? I mean,
all I know is the joke they used to make
he's
about him on SNL.
Obviously, he's no Justin Bieber. I know who that is. Don't listen to him.
And he's not even his brother.
Yeah. That's true.
So there you go.
I didn't even know what happened. I guess it happened. Didn't see it. Didn't really hear about it.
Lamar Odom got the win. Thank you, Lord. Because I think it would have been interesting if Aaron Carter would have came out and just laid hands, but he didn't. He just got beat up and quit.
Maybe he didn't have hands.
He quit. Plain and simple.
Man.
Yep. I was like, oh man, it's like you did that with your career too, but you should have done with drugs, but you didn't. You quit.
Yeah, you quit. You can't even quit right.
All right. We were discussing earlier, because you're a Muay Thai practitioner, Muay Thai possibly being in the Olympics, in future Olympics. They've been talking about it for quite some time. I want to know your thoughts on that.
I think it should be in the Olympics. I know Americans they're not crazy about Muay Thai. No, there are.
Should it be Muay Thai or kickboxing?
Well, for spectator purposes, of course, kickboxing is more entertaining. Muay Thai, they have it's so wrapped up in their culture that if you're not from that culture, you don't understand what's going on and you're bored. I do know what's going on with it, so I pay attention and I like it, but I can totally understand trying to get someone to watch that they're expecting something crazy like UFC or a good boxing match. They aren't going to like it very much, not interested. But considering the population on the other side of the world that does do Muay Thai, I think it should definitely be recognized in the Olympics, because just the population over there, just because America doesn't watch it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You know what I mean?
You're right.
Yeah. And it is coming over here. It is beginning. Amateur Muay Thai is very popular here. It's getting very popular. But considering how big the population is over there, and just their culture, I think they're a little outnumbered, where I think they have to be recognized at this point. And the sport's getting really popular too, even for America. It is getting more popular, but considering those factors, I would say, yeah, definitely be considered for the Olympics. It's a crazy sport. I mean, it's so brutal. You know, you have to
I have been hearing things that it would be amateurs that are competing. And they would have to wear headgear, and I'm not sure what else. I don't know if they have to wear shin pads. I'm not quite sure. I did hear headgear though.
Well, so is boxing though. Boxing does.
Well, no, I understand that. Yeah. You know, it does prevent a lot of head trauma.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think it should be amateur? Do you think it should be pro? Amateur would be with headgear, safety.
The Olympics is kind of a different animal when it comes to fighting, though. You know, like the boxing. It's a little more. I get a little bored.
All amateur fighters. Yeah, it's because you're not
I
going
don't know about
in that type. You're having amateur fighters. You're not going to get the finish that you want, especially with the protective gear. And they only go for a few rounds. They don't go like all out. Because I know when they compete.
Now that you bring up shin pads and headgear, Muay Thai has elbows. They do elbow pads as well. So then you got to have elbow pads. And, you know.
Well, I feel like the elbow pads would be counterintuitive with the headgear. You use the headgear, that way when they use the elbow, you're not getting busted open.
You're not going to get busted open.
It's one thing if you're using the elbow to a body blow. So, okay, I'll give you that, but I could see why the headgear would be introduced.
I mean, honestly, the headgear comes out about, an inch off that forehead. You already can't get you don't really get too touched up considering the gloves and the headgear, but then also when you're throwing elbows, you're not going to get cut. Like, you have this pad, unless someone's force is just so crazy that it does bust your nose open or your forehead open. But you only have that little, just that little tiny space to get that elbow in. That elbow's got a big pad on it. Not saying it doesn't hurts, but it's not gonna be as bloody as a pro MMA fight, or I'm sorry, pro Muay Thai fight. But I don't know. And now that you asked that, that's pretty interesting that you said that. You having the protective gear on there.
Well, if you have headgear, I don't feel like you need elbow pads. Shin guards, I could get.
It's either all or nothing.
Yeah. At least with headgear. Headgear, I feel like would be a must. But the rest, I'm like,
I guess that would be pretty interesting rules there. That would be something new.
But especially if you do it like a tournament style, or even possibly a round robin, that would be interesting because you could have a guy who gets beat up in the first fight, but then wins and makes it through. I mean, I feel like there's still a lot to think about.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they come out with. What are going to be the regulations, rules, and stuff? Amateur, pro, you don't have gear on, so that's where the interesting fights come in. I just feel like they're not going to do that. I feel like they might not do that. I think they're going to have the gear, but the elbows are interesting. Glad I thought of that. I don't know. Super interesting. Definitely want it to be recognized as a legit sport. It is a legit sport. It should be recognized as that for sure. When it comes to the rules, I have no idea. That's interesting. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But
I'm shocked that they've never made MMA an Olympic sport and do it
but MMA
and use amateurs.
I understand making a single martial art an Olympic sport, but you got mixed martial arts. That's all of them mixed together. I don't see them doing that.
Well, okay. I don't know what your knowledge is of the Olympics, but look at pancration. That's an original Olympic sport, and that was basically the original MMA. They fought butt naked, but let's be on the point. They did have it as an Olympic sport, and they haven't brought it back. It's.
I don't know. I love fighting. I love watching fighting. I love what's out there for fighting right now. When it comes to the Olympics, it's just going to be a little more dull as far as the spectators go. Muay Thai is big enough to be recognized as an Olympic sport. I don't know how they're going to do it. Don't know what the rules are going to be, but it is big enough. So I agree that it should be. I just don't know about those rules, though. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Now, in Cool Runnings, Jamaica had a bobsled team. I would like to see Jamaica have a Muay Thai team.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. And the Olympics will be coming to California. I want to say it's either 2024 or 2028. They will be coming to LA. That I'm trying to go to because I'm a big fan of the Olympic Games. I love watching boxing, wrestling, all the combat sports. That's what I want to go see. I don't care about the Dream Team. Like the Dream Team, the OG Dream Team, that's one thing. The Dream Team now, no, I don't care. I don't want to see that. I want to see judo. I'll watch fencing.
One-on-one combat.
Let's see someone get stabbed.
Yeah.
But when that comes to LA, I'm definitely trying to go to that. And if Muay Thai happens to be one of the
that would be cool.
competitions that's going on, that would be dope. That would be so fun.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll figure it out and introduce it and do something with it, because it would be great. I also think jiu-jitsu could be one of them.
I don't know why it's not.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it would be points based. I feel like similar to wrestling.
That's okay.
You don't you don't really get the pin in wrestling. Like when you, for example, look at Rulon Gardner when he won. Oh man, it's slipping my mind the guy he beat. I want to say Crewellen. That I watched that and I didn't know the significance until after. That was huge. Crewellen was one of the best wrestlers ever. And Rulon Gardner beat him. It was nuts. But that's a match that went on points. No one was going to get the pin. It had to be based off points. And I feel like jiu-jitsu would be in the same situation where you're not going to see someone get a submission. If they pull it off, amazing. But that's going to be very few and far between, and it will be based on points. And I think jiu-jitsu should also be it's a combat sport that should be introduced into the Olympics as well. But as of now, Muay Thai is more likely.
But also, it comes down to the rules. What, like Diggy just said, maybe not necessarily the rules for jiu-jitsu, but the way they score points, the way they win will be interesting. Like, I know since it's not in the Olympics and they have tournaments, everyone goes for broke, or their goal is to get a finish. So I don't know if that would be the same goal in the Olympics. You know what I mean? Because it might be smarter for you to not go for something reckless and play it out, rack up some points, get some more points, and be the winner that way. It's boring, but it'll get you the win. So I don't know. I feel like people will be a little more dull or not as taking as many risks.
Well, you're right. And then from my understanding, you also have so much time. Like, you'll be there for 2 to 3 weeks, but you're only really competing for like 2 or 3 days.
Okay. Yeah.
And so you do have to weigh the idea of the damage that you're taking. And this goes for all combat sports. Versus, like, are you going to last that whole time? Are you going to be able to last to get the gold? That's the focus.
I know.
So
that's the thing with tournaments. It's crazy. Tournaments are nuts. Muay Thai tournaments are insane. I don't care if it's an amateur or a pro. They are all insane. I just went to the U.S. Muay Thai Opens in Arizona, a little while ago. And it's insane. Your very first fight could be so crazy. You have your first fight, you go take a rest, and all your all your limbs are swollen, and you got to fight the next guy who possibly could have just gotten a knockout and fought for 2 seconds, and this guy's fresh. You're fighting him broken down. It's like, well, who do you think is going to win that one? And then often, the guy that's fresh will take it, and he moves on to, and also he might finish you fast too because you're already broken. It just depends how that first fight goes. First couple fights, depending how many people are in your bracket. But tournaments are very difficult to win, and you can always plan for a knockout. It doesn't always happen. Most of the time it doesn't happen.
But you got to be in phenomenal shape, like in general for any competitive sport like that.
Even if you're prepared to go 100 rounds with that card, you could have all the cardio, but if you take a couple heavy kicks and your leg is just, huge and it doesn't feel good, and you got to get up the next day, all that lactic acid sits in, and you got to get up and you can't stretch, and you got to fight again. And this guy is good too because he won his last fight. It is a constant battle. It is insane. I've never done a tournament. It would be interesting. Definitely want to try it for sure. But all those factors kind of come into play. Man, those guys are so tough that actually do it. What's really crazy is to see someone who's had about 3 fights, but they were all crazy and still ended up winning. That's insane. That's crazy. I don't know. your body's got to be able to handle so much. But also, I mean,
Very true.
Got to be an intelligent fighter as well. But also, man, if you get to finish fast, that means you don't have to fight until tomorrow or the next day. You get to rest. But also, I don't know. It's so weird. Kind of just have to get in there and just see what happens. But tournaments are very tough.
Yeah. No, I don't doubt it, especially when you look even compared to another sport like UFC, where they had the tournaments going on originally. I mean, those tournaments were rough on those guys. When you have someone like Steve Ginham, who was an alternate, literally come in and fight in the main event, in the championship fight. He had no other fights going on. He was just an alternate, and he gets the win and becomes a UFC champion.
That's a crazy situation. I don't know. That's interesting.
That's just an example that, yeah, it happens.
It's so crazy. Yeah, so many things could happen. It's so nuts. I don't know. Tournaments are very interesting.
All right, now we're going to turn it back to amateur MMA with 559 fights going on this weekend, folks, in Visalia. Go check them out. They put on some great fight cards. I've been to quite a few of them, covered quite a few of them, and have always had an amazing time. They do a phenomenal job. Go check them out. This is in Visalia. We're in Central California. It's in our backyard. It's really a great time. Some great fights are going to go down. Finally, live fights in California, or in Central California, I should say, because we haven't had anything going on, of course, because of COVID. So this will be great to see. Feel bad for some of those fighters because those mats are going to be hot.
Oh man.
Hopefully they'll have a cover form, something. Because
I think you have to at that point when it's over 100 degrees. That's rough.
Like thinking about it, I'm starting to sweat. That's not good.
I can feel my feet burning just imagining being in there.
Ooh. But 559 Fights is back. They're going down tomorrow night. If you are in Central California, please go check them out. Great promotion. I can't wait to hear about what goes on and what happens. Man, sorry, I'm so excited. And then Grappling X is going to be taking place June 27th, so in a couple weeks. We have that going on. That'll be inside the Fresno Heat Complex. Grappling X is a gi and no-gi jiu-jitsu tournament that goes on. They're finally getting back into the mix of things because they've come through quite a few times to Fresno. Look forward to that. Now, I do have some unfortunate news. The Underground Fight Series is not taking place this weekend due to some unseen circumstances. That's all I really know. I haven't really been told much else. Unfortunately, it's not going on. If you have any questions, if you want a refund, contact Archie and all them, or let myself know, and I'll try and put you in touch with somebody so you guys can get that taken care of. It sucks. I was really looking forward to it. A complete weekend of MMA type competition of combat sports, and that's not going down. So hopefully we can get that back up and running, get that going. I will look forward to that. But until now, we have 559 fights, and we have Grappling X going on. So that is definitely a big deal. I do look forward to that. Kaelyn, do you got anything else to add for this week?
As far as fighting goes, no, I don't. Nope.
All right. Well, folks, that's going to do it for us here at the MMA Mainstream Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you guys next time.